Hope you're doing well. So you can't really do a match preview about a friendly, can you? Well, I think you can if it's a testimonial and you get the person whose testimonial it is. Then I think it warrants a preview. Greg, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks very much for having me.
Are you nervous? Are you excited? How are you feeling today? I mean, we're recording this on Sunday morning, so I'm assuming the excitement will grow as the game gets closer. But right now, how are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm thoroughly looking forward to it. It's been like a lot of planning that's gone into it, and a little bit of will it happen, won't it happen? So to actually kind of go into the week and it's going to happen on Tuesday, yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, we're going to cover all that. Why won't it happen? Will it happen? We're going to cover all of it. But let's start with you first of all. Let's start with Mini Greg. Why are you a West Ham fan?
I didn't have much choice. My dad is a West Ham fan, and that was it. As soon as I got all the birthdays, it was the West Ham kits and the West Ham bedroom and everything. So yeah, didn't have a choice. But yeah, I'm a Hammer through and through.
Good man. Right then, let's talk about Cambridge United then. How's your season going so far?
It started off really well. First 5, 6 games of the season, we were doing really well, and we've kind of hit a bit of a rough patch with injuries and poor performances, really. So we find ourselves towards the bottom of the table. But yeah, we're hoping to kind of get past that and work our way back up.
You must be. I was keeping an eye out for your result. Obviously, we spoke at the end of last week. You said, "Oh, I'm away, Friday, Saturday for the game and stuff." So, oh, who they play? And I had a little look. Forest Green away. You're both down sort of the wrong end of the table. And I kept an eye out yesterday. Last minute defeat. Red card didn't help you. I mean, I say, how are you feeling today? Are you excited? You must also be pretty gutted at the same time.
Yeah, it's not ideal. I mean, when you go 1-0 down and you're pushing for it and you get the equaliser late on, you think, right, well, best case scenario, we'll take a point. But then to go up the other end and concede a penalty is just not ideal. So yeah, all the boys are disheartened. But I think in a weird way, we're looking forward to Tuesday to kind of playing without any pressure, just to enjoy the game. And hopefully it can spark our season a little bit.
Yeah, I was going to ask that actually. I mean, is it sort of like a really welcome distraction? Because, like you said, it's more of an event than a match, isn't it? If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think if you ask the staff and the manager, he'd probably say it wouldn't be ideal to have a friendly coming in towards one of the busiest periods of the time with Christmas. But for the lads, it could be, yeah, just a bit of a distraction, a one-off kind of enjoying and playing against a Premier League side, which just doesn't happen very often for lads at our level. So, yeah, I think everybody's looking forward to it.
10 years now you've been at Cambridge. Not something that's happens very often these days. What's it been like having a decade there?
It's been good. I felt at home there from the first year I signed. We gained promotion from what's the National League now, so we had instant success, and I kind of just wanted that with the club really to carry on. So that's what's kept me there, and there's been good people there, and I've just really enjoyed my football. So every time the deals come up, I've kind of jumped at it really.
A couple of Wembley trips in there as well.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to get 2 Wembley trips in the first season and to win them both. So I've had some really good moments there, and we've had a couple of good FA Cup runs and things like that. So yeah, I'm really grateful for my time there, and I'm proud of what I've achieved.
Was Luke Chadwick there in your first season at Cambridge? You would have had Luke Chadwick there, wouldn't you?
Yeah, he's a Cambridge boy, Cambridge fan. So it was a little bit weird. I was speaking to him about West Ham when he came in and got a little bit of info off him and how was it being there, what was it like, and things
what
like
did he
that.
say?
But yeah,
come on.
He said he really enjoyed it. Really, really.
Liar.
But no, yeah, he was. He's obviously played at the highest level, so it's brilliant to have him around.
What's it like then when you went in there? Like you said, they were sort of in the 5th division. Now you're in League One. What's the biggest changes been at Cambridge since you've been a player?
The player turnaround is obviously massive. At the lower levels, you're only seeing 1 year, 2 year deals, and people are coming and going throughout the season. So player turnaround is huge. Probably seen over 100 players. But the stadium and the training ground facilities, everything's just improved year on year. I think the massive marker was the Man United games in the FA Cup, where we drew them at home and took them back to Old Trafford. That game just brought in probably a year's worth of revenue for the club. So they can then go and use that to improve everything around the place, which is what they did. So that was probably the biggest marker of how they improved the place.
Just to separate sort of Greg Taylor the player to Greg Taylor the person. Do you look at yourself with even more pride at your achievement here? Because like you said, there's a high turnover of players at this level. So to do 10 years at one club's one thing, but to do it at a lower league level is probably even more of an achievement than what, say, Martin Noble has done.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that.
I'll say it for you then. I'll say that.
Yeah. It could be potentially more difficult. Yeah, with the higher turnover, it could be potentially. But then again, to stay at a Premier League club for 10 years, you have to be some player. So, yeah, I wouldn't take anything away from that.
Did you know you were always going to get this season? Because I was reading a little bit prior to this and reading between the lines, you were out for quite a period last season and you got your new contract towards the end of the season as well. Was there a little bit of nervousness on your part, if you like?
Yeah, it was a tough time because, I mean, in the lower leagues, if you get around 30 years old, I'm 32 now, and some clubs kind of take the line of you get 1 year contracts after 30, just times to protect themselves, really.
Yeah.
And yeah, last season, I think it was 3 or 4 games in, I broke my ankle in 2 places and I was out for the entire season, and it was quite a nasty one, to be honest. So yeah, my contract was running out, and the club were fantastic with me. I get along really well with the manager, and he kind of took that stress element away from me towards the back end and just said, "Look, we're giving you another year, so don't worry about not having a job or anything like that off the back of a horror season." He said, "We'll take that away. You've got a deal for next year. Just concentrate on getting fit."
That's really good to see, especially when you've given them 9 years at this point of your career to get that loyalty back when times are uncertain. I like that. It's rare in this modern day of football. And obviously West Ham have done it with Ogbonna as well. Last season, Ogbonna got injured. It's like, don't worry, we're going to give you the new deal kind of thing. So it's nice to see. Let's turn our eye to Tuesday night then. How does this testimonial come about then? Is it in your contract? Did the club approach you and say, what do you want? How does everything happen?
So it's kind of like it's an unwritten thing that if you do get to 10 years, you are going to get a testimonial. And once we spoke about the contract last season, it was right, well, we're going to give you another year and that will include a testimonial. So I was happy with that. And then it's a case of what team would you like and how can we go about that? So obviously, naturally, you want the biggest team that you can get. And for me, I was always going to want West Ham, and normally it's in a pre-season kind of setting, but I think it was a little bit difficult to organise because of I got my contract so late, and pre-season friendlies get organised a little bit earlier than that, so it wasn't an option to do. So we looked at the World Cup coming up and thinking, well, there's probably going to be a period where West Ham won't play, and will West Ham fans want to come and watch West Ham play when the World Cup's on? So it kind of worked out well. I'm quite lucky that David Moyes actually played for Cambridge, and one of our directors was in the team with him. So we've got a good link in that
I didn't know that bit.
Yeah, we've got a good link in that sense. And our current manager, Mark Bonner, speaks to him a fair bit because of that link and the trade information and things like that. I think our manager's learning a little bit off of David Moyes. So yeah, it kind of worked out well. There's a couple of links there, and we put it forward to them, and they said, yeah, we can do it. So yeah, I'm delighted with it.
You've massively benefited from the World Cup, haven't you?
I mean, it will benefit me. I'm just hoping that people want to come out in the cold and want to watch us rather than a World Cup game.
Tickets are available via the link in the description of this video. I'll remind you at the end of the video, but you want to grab a ticket, you can do. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, FA Cup games, right? So when these cup draws come round over the last 10 years, have you been praying for West Ham in one of the cup, just any cup?
Yeah, I have been, and I've never had it. So this is why if you can't play for your team, you want to play against them, and I haven't had an opportunity to play against them in a competitive game. So this is probably the best and closest I'm going to get. I've played like the under-23s or something like that in a pre-season friendly, but it's not the same.
Yeah, it's going to sound silly, but if we ever come close to a cup draw, because I'm not going to know this, but you might. Do you know when the teams are coming out? Have you ever been like 2 teams away from West Ham, kind of thing?
I honestly, I wouldn't be able to tell you. I do watch the draws when you get into like the third round, but no, I wouldn't be able to say.
Anyway, back to Mini Greg. You were a mascot for West Ham.
Yeah, I think it was when I was like 9 or 10. Mum and dad sorted it out for the birthday and took me up there. And it's a little bit different to how they do the mascots now, because you can go on the pitch and you can shoot against the keeper. And it was Shaka Hislop at the time. But it was a good change room because you get to go in the change room before, and it was Defoe and Joe Cole and Rio Ferdinand and all the big boys that have gone on to have incredible careers. So yeah, it was an amazing experience. But not many people know that about me, to be honest.
No. Who did we play? Can you remember?
Aston Villa.
Did we win?
I can't remember that, but I was just
not.
over the moon about just being in and around the changing room.
I mean, this sounds like a silly question, but what's it going to be like to play West Ham? I mean, you must be like, pinch yourself stuff this.
Yeah, just when I first obviously heard about it coming about, it was just a massive thing for me and my family, because they're big West Ham fans. My dad goes quite a bit, so it's going to be. It's just a big celebration for me, and it's something that I'll always hold with me after my career, knowing that one of the biggest occasions of my career to celebrate my 10 years is against my team. So it couldn't have worked out any better.
As a centre-back, you'll be marking Gianluca Scamacca, possibly. Are you looking forward to that or worried?
I got my hands full there a little bit, haven't I?
I think you do a little bit, yeah.
Antonio comes on second 45, and I'm going to be even more trouble. But nice.
I was going to ask you that. Which one, in a weird way, which one are you looking forward to marking more, or is there one you could handle better than the other?
I think saying handle any of them is being generous to me. I
meant manhandle, just drag him.
Yeah. I think I've probably got more chance with Scamacca, because Antonio is just physically strong, fast, powerful. So yeah, I'll look forward to that if he's on in the second 45.
When that final whistle goes, if you could swap your shirt with any West Ham player, who would it be?
It would be Rice. I'm a big fan of Declan Rice. And if he's not going to be here for too much longer after his interview the other day, it would be nice to have. But to be honest, any one of the lads, anyone. It would just be a great moment for me.
Speaking of that Declan Rice thing, obviously as West Ham fans, you're a bit like, oh no, because it feels inevitable now. However, do you look at it differently because you're a footballer? Do you look at it and think, well, I completely get what he's saying, I get what he's doing, etc., etc., or does this West Ham fan element take over? Because I think sometimes as fans we look at the game through a certain prism, but I think when you're involved in the game, you look at it from completely different perspectives. You know, we've started doing a bit of work with Anton Ferdinand regularly now, and he's speaking to us from a view that we've never really considered before to some extent. It might be about small things, about how crowd give them stick every week and stuff like that. And to give an example, Anton was asking us about like YouTube comments. He said, you can delete those nasty comments. I said, yeah, we kind of want. We tend to delete them, but we can delete them if we need to. He says, yeah, in a football game, you can't delete that comment. You just hear it for 90 minutes. You just hear it over and over. And sometimes you think, okay, I've never considered it like that before. So when you hear stuff like the Declan Rice thing as a player, do you think your opinion is different, or does a West Ham fan and you take over and think, Declan, man, what are you doing?
There's definitely a little bit of both. Looking at it from a player's point of view, I completely get it. He is one of the best midfielders in the league. In his position, what he does, there's no denying it. And selfishly, as a player, you want to play at the highest level. You want to achieve everything you can. And if the club you're at that you love isn't doing that, you do have to kind of think it gets to a point where if the club can't help me get that, I may need to go and get it somewhere else. But then as a West Ham fan, I'm sitting there going, please don't do it. West Ham just pile in the money and just get the boys in and around him to support him to help us get up there. Because, I mean, when we finished quite high and got in the European places, I was thinking to myself, right, this is the chance for us to kick on. We might keep him, but it hasn't worked out that way this season. So I think that's probably the biggest point of where he's gone. It isn't really going to go the way I want.
I guess, again, as a player, the fan, the last couple of seasons, we're going back to January, we're sort of in the hunt for top four at one point. We're going to the January transfer windows. I'm talking the last two here now. we've not invested in a striker. We could have done a little bit more in the last January transfer window. We didn't sign anybody. It was a bit like, where's the ambition? Do you get frustrated? Because again, as a player, you've been in situations before, you've had 2 promotions where the club's going well, it comes around to the transfer window, and you think, we could only add 1 or 2 players of real quality, we can really go and achieve that. Do you look at West Ham and think, well, you've had your chance now and you blew it because of lack of investment?
It's difficult. Like, you do a little bit because you think to yourself, come on, like, it's obvious we need a forward. Like, there must be someone out there. But then, because I know sometimes how things work, like, they may be looking at it and thinking, well, the forwards that we particularly want aren't available right now. Are we going to go and pay way over the odds for him right now? Or in the summer, do we know that we could have 2 out of the 5 that we want? So you just don't know what's going on. There's always something going on behind the scenes that doesn't get let on to the fans, which is so annoying because you want to know everything. But from a fan's point of view, when I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, just get the forward, just go and pay the money. But it's obviously not our money at the end of the day.
As a Cambridge player, then, there's, as you just said, there's some things the fans don't know that's happening behind the scenes. As a Cambridge player, have you ever thought, I wish our fans knew this, I wish our fans knew that, they would just understand a little bit more about the situation or what's going on at the club?
Yeah, there's always times when you see, like, fans maybe wanting certain players to play and things like that, and you're thinking, well, there's reasons why certain people aren't playing, and that maybe be training performances or personal issues or things like that. But they're never going to get spoken about and aired to everybody because they are private, and that's what happens inside the football building. But there are certain times when you're thinking, like, I wish you guys knew actually what went on, but it is what it is.
Speaking of West Ham fan, as a West Ham fan, what do you make of our season?
Frustrating. I think the expectation level has risen a little bit with the signings that we've made. Looking at it, just maybe taking a step back, it looks as if we're kind of trying to transition to a bit more of like a possession-based team, because when we've done well, we've kind of had good shape and structure and then broke from that and hit on the counter, and we've had success doing that. But I think if you really want to break into the top 6, 7, you need to be a more of a possession-based team. And I think he's maybe trying to do that with, like, Paqueta coming in, a bit of creativeness up top and the way he plays, and Scamacca. And I think they're trying to maybe transition to that. But that period of going from maybe without the ball to the ball is very difficult. And maybe we're finding ourselves in a little bit of a sticky patch in that. But I have no doubt we'll be able to do it.
When you spoke earlier about the high level of turnover at lower league football, obviously West Ham has sort of gone through a high level of turnover this summer. We've lost big characters like Fredericks, Mark Noble, of course. We've brought in big money players who haven't hit the ground running, let's put it that way, with Paqueta and Scamacca and whatever. Is it harder than some people might assume to lose a large chunk of your dressing room and have so many players come in at once and then get them integrated into the first team? I mean, you've had a big part at Cambridge of, I suppose, getting those new signings come in and getting them into that first team. So is it easier said than done?
Yeah, it can be difficult. You're dealing with people from all kind of walks of life, and you're trying to just get everybody to gel and be on the same page and kind of fight for the same goal. So it can be difficult. And I think it's even more difficult at the highest level when you've got people coming from different countries and things like that and moving home. And that I don't have any experience of that, but I imagine that's 10 times more difficult than just driving an extra hour or an hour and a half to go to a different club. So, I imagine it does take time. I'm sure there's loads of staff to help with that, player liaison and all that kind of stuff up in Premier League now. So I'm sure there's things like that to help it run a bit more smoothly, but there's definitely an element to that.
Last couple of questions then. Before we do that, if you want to get our ticket for Tuesday night, you can do. The link is in the description. Even if you can't attend and you wish to support Greg, then you can buy a ticket for the game as well. Tickets are priced very cheaply, actually. So do check out. Link is in the description and the pinned comments of this video. But Greg, if you could pick any former West Ham player to play on Tuesday night against you, who would you pick?
Joe Cole. I love Joe Cole. Yeah. I loved watching.
And he's not a
just as
striker,
young
so he's
lad.
someone else's problem.
Yeah, I can just push him out the way and he can go out play out wide or in the middle of the pitch. But yeah, I loved watching him when he was young. I just thought what he could do with the ball was incredible.
Do you fancy a win on Tuesday? I know a result's not important, but as you said though, it could give your boys a real boost in going into the next weekend and so on and so forth. Because you're lingering just outside the relegation battle at the minute. Familiar, isn't it? I think your man just been getting too many tips from David Moyes in that regard. But it could be massive for you though if you did get a little bit of a win and a couple of your players got goals, etc., etc. So do you fancy it?
I think, to be honest, I think we'll spend long periods without the ball, and it will be difficult for us. But in one of the 45 minutes, I'd like if we could get a result. I think it's going to be a case of there'll be 2 11s and everybody will be getting minutes. I think it's West Ham's maybe first friendly after coming back. I think the boys were back in maybe Thursday or Friday, I think I saw. So yeah, I think we'll spend long periods without the ball. But yeah, it'd be lovely to get a result.
Yeah, I think the problem for you is this is quite an important game for West Ham as well. I think if we were sitting 4th in the league or something, it'd be a case of, don't worry about it. Let them win. Let him because someone can see the pen in the 90th minute, will you? Let him get up the pitch and take one. And Fabianski, mate, just make sure you go the wrong way. You don't have Areola. He's not so great at saving pens, but he's very fast. Get that Blackburn Rovers Areola and go, you'd be fine. But I think because we've only got 3 friendlies before we come back on Boxing Day, it's almost quite an important fixture to some extent for Moyes and some of the players as well. And given the situation that we're in, so I think you might feel the repercussions of that a little bit on Tuesday night.
Yeah.
But listen, Greg, before we go, I'm going to ask you for a little bit of fun, some predictions. Will West Ham get relegated?
No.
Will Cambridge get relegated?
I hope not. No.
Europa Conference League, will West Ham win it?
No, I think we'll go a long way, but I think we'll just miss out.
Ooh. Right, well, Greg, thank you very much for joining me. It's been a massive pleasure to talk to you, and it goes without saying, best of luck on Tuesday. I hope it's a massive success, and most importantly, I hope you have fun, and I hope your dad, well, I know your dad's going to enjoy being a West Ham fan, seeing you play against West Ham and stuff, but I hope you and your family have a tremendous evening, and I'm looking forward to watching it.
Thanks very much, mate. Thanks for having me, and thank you for the support.